Hello children, today we are going to continue with our civics chapter 1, our constitution. In the previous class we have discussed about constitution, role and need of constitution. So today we are going to continue with the features of Indian constitution. Our Indian constitution starts with a preamble. Preamble is basically like an index for our constitution. Just as a book is having an index which specifies the content of the book, in the same manner, preamble is also an index for our constitution which contains all the guiding values and principles which are mentioned in our constitution. Or we can say, preamble consists of all the guiding values keeping in view the rules in our constitution are made. So our preamble acts as an introductory part which tells us about all the values which are a part of our constitution. So now we are going to discuss about some of the features of our constitution, or we can say some of the features which are mentioned in our preamble. So first feature is a detailed written constitution. India's constitution is the lengthiest constitution in the world. None other country in the world is having such a minute details in their constitution as Indian constitution is having. Initially, it consists of 22 parts, 395 articles and 8 schedules. But after that, 4 more schedules were added to it. Our constitution not only specifies the government policies, it even specifies the rights and duties for the citizen of the country and even the directive principles, union-state relations, elections, etc. All these topics are covered in our constitution and rules are made related to each and every topic. And all these things are included in our constitution because the makers of our constitution, they don't want any point of our constitution be unclear to any of the person. So that's why they have discussed about everything in detail. Second feature of our constitution is provision of amendment. As we have studied earlier that our constitution is a living document because it grows and it develops as per the need, requirement and aspirations of the people. So when we need to develop our constitution as per the needs of people, so it is necessary to bring some changes in our constitution, and these changes are brought through amendments. So amendments are basically the changes which are brought to the constitution by certain set of rules and regulations. Next feature of our constitution is a sovereign democratic republic. India is a sovereign country. Sovereign means we are not bound by an external force. We are free to frame laws and policies for our own country. No country in the world can pressurize us to make rules according to their choice. India is even a democratic country. It means the people of the country or the citizens of this country are having the right to choose their own representatives as a part of the government. Here the people elect their representatives who work on their behalf and are a part of our governance. India is even a republic. Republic means that the head of the country, that is president, is chosen by the elected representatives which are elected by common people of the country. It means the head of the country works on behalf of the common people and takes decisions for their welfare. Next feature of our constitution is a secular and socialist country. India is even a socialist country. Our preamble specifies some values which makes India a social, political and economically equal country. Or we can say our constitution ensures social, economical and political equality to all the citizens of the country. And it is given through universal adult franchise. It means through the power to vote, the citizens of our country are politically equal. When we talk about social equality, no person can be discriminated on the basis of caste, religion, language or culture. And when we talk about economic inequality, our constitution even ensures to merge or to bridge the gap between economically unequal societies so that all people can come onto the same platform. Next feature of our constitution is federalism. Federalism means having two-tier system of governance. India is having a federal system of governance. It means we are having government at two levels, one at national level and the other at state level. The government at national level or the central government frames laws for the whole country, and the government at state level or the state government frame laws for the particular state. The laws which are made by central government applies to the whole country. On the other hand, the laws which are made by the state government, they are being enforced in that particular state as per the government. Even our constitution has specified the powers of central and state government into different lists, and these lists are union list, state list and concurrent list. The subjects which are mentioned in this list are under the direct surveillance of central government, and the subjects which are in the state list are under the authority of state government. The state government had the right to take decisions related to those subjects, and concurrent list are having some subjects which are under the powers of both central and state government, and both the governments can take decision on those matters. Like, take an example for concurrent list, education is a subject which is coming under concurrent list. Some rules are made by the central government, and after that state government can even bring some changes in these subjects as per their own choice. So this is basically called division of powers between central and state government. Our constitution even guides the government from where to earn money and how to bear its responsibilities. In the same manner as the central government does, the state government is also having its own authorities under this concept of federalism. Next feature of constitution is parliamentary form of government. India is having a parliamentary form of government. The legislature or the law-making body at the center is called as Sansad or Parliament. When we talk about parliamentary form of government, it means the Parliament is the supreme law-making body, and as Parliament consists of the elected representatives which are chosen by the citizen of the country, it means the Parliament works on behalf of the common people. In this manner, the common people of the country, they indirectly becomes a part of the governing system. Our constitution even guarantees universal adult suffrage to all citizens of the country. It means all the adults in the country are allowed to elect their representatives through election process, and all these elected representatives are answerable to the people for whatever decisions they make. So next feature of our constitution is separation of powers. In our constitution too, powers are divided among the governing bodies. Basically, we are having three organs of our government or our constitution, which is legislature, executive and judiciary. Legislature is basically the law-making body. It is a group of our elected representatives at the center level, those who are having the right to make laws for the whole country. Next organ is executive. Executive is the group of people, those who are working to enforce the laws which are made by the legislature. Third organ is judiciary. Judiciary is appointed to check whether the laws are being followed or not. It means if the people violate the rules which are made by legislature, then judiciary is having the right or the authority to punish those people or those communities, those who are violating the rules according to our government or according to our constitution. Even when the powers are separated in a government, in that condition, all these organs are interrelated with each other and they check each other. It means all these three organs, they see the functioning of each other and just have a check over each other that whether the things are going in a proper manner or not. Now we'll be discussing about the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are the basic rights given to every citizen of the country. These rights are called as fundamental rights because it is equally important to each and every citizen of the country. These rights protect the people against the exercise of powers by the government. It means if the government is misusing their powers, these rights protect us from the misuse of powers by the government. And these rights are equally important not only to run a democratic country but for the development of an individual's personality. So in this manner, our constitution has granted us 6 fundamental rights. First is right to equality. According to our constitution, all citizens are equal before the law. It means nobody can be discriminated on the basis of religion, caste, sex, gender or any other basis. State even cannot promote any sort of inequality among the citizens of the country. Right to equality ensures that all the people are equal, and after this only the concept or the system of untouchability has been abolished from the Indian society. According to this, all the people are free to go to public places, to go to temples and to go wherever they want. Second fundamental right given to us is right to freedom. Our constitution has given us right to freedom. According to this fundamental right, every person is having the right to express his own views and opinions against anything. It means if a person is not satisfied by the functioning of government also, then he can raise his voice against the policies of the government. Right to freedom allows everybody to express his or her views and opinions about everything. Right to freedom even gives us the right to form associations, to go and live in any part of the country, or to opt any profession or any occupation whatever we want. It even grants us the freedom to go to any place wherever we want. Next fundamental right is right against exploitation. So what is exploitation? Exploitation means when one person takes the advantage of other person. That is basically called as exploitation. And right against exploitation gives us the right to raise our voice if anybody has exploited us. We have seen in our society that rich people always take the advantage of poor. The poor people are even being compelled to work for more hours in less wages. So in this manner, with this right against exploitation, the poor people have got the right to raise their voice against the exploitation which is done to them. Basically, the poor people are exploited in different manner. So when we discuss about right against exploitation, it has helped in reducing the number of cases related to the exploitation of poor people like child labor, working of people for longer hours in less wages, labor trafficking, etc. Next right which is given to us is right to freedom of religion. When we talk about right to freedom of religion, it means every citizen of our country is free to practice the religion of his or her choice. They can prefer any religion which they want, and nobody can force them to change their religion or to opt for any other religion. So in this manner, all religions are treated equally, as in the eyes of law, all religions are equal and each citizen of the country should pay respect to others' religions. Next fundamental right is cultural and educational right. According to this right, any person in the country is free to practice his own culture and to set up educational institutions at any place in the country. This freedom is given to the people when they want to preserve their own religion and their own culture. So according to this, people are free to follow their culture and they can set up educational institutions wherever they want to promote their own religion. Next fundamental right which is given to us is right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies means if any person has exploited you or when you are not allowed to practice your fundamental rights. So in this manner, a person can approach to the judiciary. It means if the government even stops you from exercising your fundamental rights or practicing your basic rights, then the people are having the right or the authority to approach to the police or to the court, and they can take a legal action against the person or the authority who has stopped you from practicing your fundamental rights. So right to constitutional remedies gives freedom to the citizen of the country to raise their voice against the injustice done to them by the society or even by the state. So these are the basic fundamental rights which are given to every citizen of the country, and all the law-making bodies are bound up with these fundamental rights, or these rights apply onto all the people, those who are having the right to make laws for us. Next we'll be studying about directive principles. Our constitution has given certain directive principles to the government for the betterment of the people. Directive principles are basically some guidelines which are given to the government so that they can ensure the development and betterment of the people. According to these directive principles, the government can introduce social and economic reforms in the country so that the people should have better living standards. According to these directive principles, the government can take any step for the betterment of the people and for the betterment of the country. So these directive principles led our country and our society to the path of development. So in this manner, the fundamental rights and directive principles, these are the part of constitution which help the people to get some basic rights, and it gives some guidelines to the government to work for the betterment of the people. So this was all for the chapter, and now we are going to just recap whatever we have studied today. So now we are moving ahead with the summary of the chapter. Preamble of Constitution is the introductory part that contains the ideals and basic principles of the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is the lengthiest and is divided into 22 parts, 395 articles and 12 schedules. Amendments can be brought into our Constitution as per the needs of the people. Sovereign means freedom to frame our own rules. Democracy means rule of the people, by the people and for the people. Republic means head of the state is elected by people's representatives. Secular means that all citizens are equal before the law of the land. Socialist means political and social equality to all. India has a federal and parliamentary form of government. Right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedies are the fundamental rights given to every citizen of our country. Directive principles are meant to improve the condition of the people. So this was all for now. I would like to remind you all to go through the chapter once. So goodbye for now. Stay home, stay safe.